First of all, why a master plan? It is useful to remind all the countries in the Mediterranean region are engaged in the energy transition. All of them have signed the COP21 agreement. All of them are fully involved in a process that's changing the way of thinking and operating the power system, and it poses several challenges to the entities, to the TSOs, to the entities that are in charge of managing the transmission grid. Integration is revealing, is showing more and more not an option, but a necessity for the region for facilitating the energy transition process. And this calls for a need of developing multilateral activities that have to be aimed at a harmonized development of the transmission system. Therefore, the master plan tries to answer to this request. It is a set of transmission projects analyzed with the same rules, with the same criteria, with the same process to assess the impact, the regional impact of this project not on the countries directly involved, not only on the countries directly involved, but on the Mediterranean region as a whole. And it aims also at promoting a coordinated approach that should be implemented also for the preparation of the national development plans. Let's say this long-term regional development plan includes several activities, several actions, a definition of scenarios, first of all, agreed by all the members, a definition of the list of the interconnection projects to be developed, the creation of a reference model of the power system at the regional level to perform market studies, analyzing the network behavior, basically through load flow calculation, and assessing the investments needed to fulfill the security requirements, and performing a CBA analysis, to a cost-benefit analysis on the new investment. The master plan is constituted by 15 projects that have been assessed. These projects have different degrees of maturity, but all have the aim to connect the Mediterranean region. So we are talking about potential more than 18 gigawatt of new interconnection capacity, more than 4,000 kilometers of HVDC lines for investments that could amount to more than 10 billion euros. The webinar will be structured with a set of presentations, starting from the presentation on scenarios carried out by Emmanuel Bouet, that's the chair of Technical Committee Economic Studies and Scenarios, that shows the electricity scenarios at 2030. Then with the global presentation of the Mediterranean Master Plan and all the interconnection projects that will show the methodology and the principles used, that will be carried out by Modesto Gabrieli, that's the chair of Technical Committee Planning. And there will be the opportunity to go into the details of each sub-regional project that has been assessed, each of them presented by the involved TSO. I would like to make a final consideration on the context in which the Mediterranean Project 2 as a whole, in particular also the master plan, has been developed. All of us know very well that 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us. I'm quite proud to say that despite the difficult context, the association was capable to develop and produce very valuable deliverables in all the streams that constituted the Mediterranean Project 2. In particular, this challenging time gave us also some opportunity because there was the idea to develop a different approach, especially out of the way of working that modified in depth, as all of us know, because I guess that in all the companies this year has determined the need of reinventing the way of working. This is true for Med-TSO, but also for our technical activities that were based on frequent technical meetings. We were all obliged to transform the attendance in presence in attendance through other means. The webinar today is an example. A couple of years ago, it would have been organized physically in some place around the Mediterranean. So this is a challenge for us, but also an opportunity. It gives us the possibility to participate in principle to a much bigger list of attendees. It has given also us the possibility to review the way of presenting our outcomes. And this is another part that will be described in this webinar. We have prepared a digital version of the master plan where you can navigate to get the result. Luca Ruffino from the Secretariat will give a presentation on that. We are quite happy of what we were able to do, but of course everything can be improved. And this master plan is not a final step of our activity. In the new project Emitted that started a few months ago, there will be a review and improvement and updates of what we have done in this version 2020. So I would like to conclude my few notes, wishing you a fruitful attendance and confirming that the Secretariat is at your disposal for any further support you may require. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Angelo, for your introduction. It's quite remarkable indeed that Med-TSO managed to complete these studies in the challenging 2020 year. I will give the floor, as you already said, to Emmanuel Bouet from RTE, the Transmission System Operator of France. It is also the chairman of a technical committee, Economic Studies and Scenario. Emmanuel is tirelessly working on the development of scenarios, and I can tell you that he's already working on the development of new scenarios for the new project. But I will give the floor now, Emmanuel, to you to present the scenarios that has been used for the assessment of the project Master Plan 2.
Thank you, Simone, for your kind word. And let me just share my set of slides. Okay, so I guess you can see
we can
an
see
alpinist
nice
on the
wall, yeah.
Yes, alpinist on the rock. Just time for me to pass to
here. Now
yeah,
we can see. Yeah,
that is okay.
Yes.
Okay, nice. So thank you for your kind word. Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Bouet from RTE, the French TSO, and I'm here today as the chairman of TCSS. TCSS stands for Technical Committee Economic Studies and Scenario, which members are almost from planning department or strategic department of TSOs. So in the process, global process of master plan, TCSS is in charge of two things. One is, it was introduced by Angelo, one is the scenario building. I mean, a scenario definition data collection, but also implementation in software, in modeling, and the software we use is Antares, and that is done also by TCSS members. And so more or less the purpose of the first part of this webinar, what I will present you now, is the result of this activity. But TCSS is also in charge of some aspect of the project assessment jointly with TC planning. So I mean, project assessment is to assess the impact of a new transmission project in terms of energy, in terms of many indicators. That is also done by colleagues from TCESS and will be present more in detail in the second part of the webinar. So after this very short introduction about the TCSS, let me move to the presentation of a scenario by themselves. So what about the purpose of the scenario? It is to explore possible future situations interacting with the Mediterranean power systems. So the aim of those scenarios is to build a path from the present to several possible futures. I mean trends on the load on generation, for example, to give a robust framework for grid development studies and being the rationale of the master plan. Then building scenarios for the Mediterranean power system needs, before all, to have a clear view of the current situation. And the Mediterranean region is characterized by wide contrast. Contrast first in the dynamics of the evolution of electricity demand between countries which are experiencing regular growth of 2 or even 5% per year, so very important, and others which have shown stability or even decrease over the past 10 years. Contrast also in national energy and environment policies and in the importance given to any regional regulation, the most comprehensive of which concern European countries. Actually, there is a large disparities that affect the way the states address their commitment to the Paris Agreement, but a form of convergence is found in the massive development of renewable energies, mainly solar and wind. And finally, contrast in the way of organizing the electricity exchange between countries from a fully integrated and efficient market to other configurations that give more priority to material assistance consideration. It's worth noting that infrastructures themselves also offer very contrasted exchange possibilities. So considering that, and in the next 10 years, these figures present what we consider to be the driver for the coming evolution. And here on this graph, the size of the circle corresponds to the relative impact those drivers address. And then in terms of most important, you can see here GDP and population that we think remain the most important driver, so macroeconomic trends, but also renewable development and greenhouse gas emission reduction. What we have also is regulation, policies and cooperation, Mediterranean integration, new demand and energy efficiency, and development of new technologies. That are the most important driver. Then finally, the definition of the scenarios as consists in building coherent combination of all those drivers. And this table focus on the most impacting driver. So first, about the national development scenario. This scenario as a storyline based on positive yet conservative option for long-term economic and growth and decarbonization in the Mediterranean region, accompanied by a moderate population growth. The extent of development of renewable energy generation corresponds to commitments already made, plus already approved by national energy policies. And finally, the energy efficiency, as well as electrification over sectors, present a limited development. That is for the scenario national development. So now let's move to the green development scenario that describe a Mediterranean region that benefits from a good development of macroeconomic trends. Emphasis is placed on development of renewable, especially with development of large generation facilities, but also with development of decentralized generation and the growing role of prosumers. The effort to improve energy efficiency are focused on the residential sector and industry, resulting in the emergence of new uses of electricity. That is for the green development. And the third scenario, Mediterranean evolution. Mediterranean evolution is a scenario that embraces a regional approach to the energy transition. It is based on a strong population growth, especially in the south and east coast, accompanied by a dynamic economy based on a strong development of industrial sectors and services. The ambition for the development of renewable and reduction of greenhouse gas are increased and can rely on regional cooperation and more interconnection between countries. New uses of electricity are developing significantly, while at the same time efforts are made to improve energy efficiency. That is to give you the global picture in terms of definition of all those three contrasted scenarios. So in addition, we need some other common parameters and principles. Those are needed to give a strong framework to the scenarios. So first, the market studies adopt the principle of efficient derived market or mechanism. Second, and despite some Mediterranean countries are or expect to be natural gas producers, we adopt the principle of similar fossil fuel prices across the whole area, also ignoring existing subsidies. We adopt also the principle of an economic value for the CO2 emission common to all the Mediterranean countries. And then last, important to mention before passing to the result, this is how we consider all the other interconnected countries. So in particular here you can see a table that is mentioning the matching or correspondence with the scenarios from ENTSO TNDP 2020 for what regards the European countries, all the European countries, not only those who are also members of Med-TSO, but all the Europe. And we have also some other hypotheses for connection with Saudi Arabia through Jordan and Egypt. That is for the main principle adopted in the scenario building. So now let's move to the result. And first, having a look on the electricity consumption evolution for 2030. So the map you have here on the left shows the countries we consider when talking about the Mediterranean countries, with the code in black. So at these perimeters, the electricity consumption for 2030 remain dynamics, mainly driven by economic and the demographic growth. So from demand around 2,000 TWh in 2018, we foresee for 2030 a demand around 2,500 terawatt-hour. That represents an increase in 12 years of 25% in national development for the lowest to 33% in the Mediterranean evolution scenarios for the highest. But this increase shows also contrasting dynamic between the Mediterranean countries. And then to illustrate this contrasting effect, what I propose here is to split the countries into 4 groupings, as you can see here on the map on the left. So southwest, northwest, southeast, and northeast. So you have the list of countries included in each of those 4 grouping. And that is a grouping that is adopted for the rest of this presentation. And then here this bar graph illustrate electricity for demand for the Mediterranean areas for the 3 scenarios. So here on the left you have the full perimeter where I mentioned from 2000 to 2000 terawatt in 2018 to around 2,500 in 2030. That is for the full Mediterranean perimeter, when what you can see is a kind of actually a stability in demand for the northwest countries here, when for the other region we can see a strong increase, actually between 40 and 80% in 12 years, depending on the region and the scenario. So let's move now to the generation side. So for the generation evolution, what we foresee is a significant increase in generation capacity that is driven by the challenge of security of supply. So to continue to cover an increasing demand, but also driven, this growth in generation evolution is also driven by the decarbonization of generation fleet. And so this graph illustrates generation capacity by type of fuel. Here you have the list of fuel from gas to renewable in the past and in the 3 possible scenarios for 2030. What we can see is a huge reduction in coal capacity. Coal is a dark gray here. So here there is a very significant reduction in coal capacity. For what regard gas, we can see here an apparent stability in gas generation, but actually it's more a reduction of gas generation in Europe. It's a very significant reduction of gas capacity in Europe and an increase in the other countries. That is why we can see here an apparent stability. Nuclear shows a very slight decrease despite development of this technology in few Mediterranean countries. Hydro generation show an increase in some countries, but also and mostly actually hydro pumping storage, because possibility for new dam is yet saturated, but there is a significant number of projects of hydro pumping storage to be developed in all around the Mediterranean countries. But the most remarkable on this graphic is what is here, as you can see, is the development of solar and wind capacity in all Mediterranean countries. So to illustrate that, the following slide show more detail specifically on renewable and showing the evolution from 2018 to 2080. So for wind, wind capacity here, that is in green, capacity is to be multiplied by almost 3 from here to here. And for solar, it is about be multiplied by 4 or even 5 times in the green development scenario. This graph on the left illustrate that this urge increase in renewable in raise capacity affect all the region. So here on the left, what you can see is evolution of renewable capacity in the northwest countries that is more or less multiplied by 2. And we will see later where, in which country. When in the other region of Mediterranean, it is the increase of renewable capacity is even higher, as you can see here. Those are some input. This one is from IRENA, renewable power generation cost in 2019. Just to illustrate, you know that perfectly, the urge decrease in capacity price of renewable, solar, concentrated solar, offshore and onshore and offshore wind. Actually, the Mediterranean region benefits from really good resources, both for solar and for wind generation. But the sharp decrease in renewable cost is the main reason for massive expansion in many countries, RES becoming the cheapest way to increase generation capacities in many countries, as it is mentioned here by Irina. That means in many Mediterranean countries, development of RES is not only motivated for more CO2-free generation, but for economic reasons as well. This graph here illustrates from recent bidding price on PV and on solar project all around the world, with some Mediterranean countries here, Morocco, Egypt and Portugal. This summer with a bidding price below 20 euro per megawatt hour for solar. So let's see now how the generation capacity will meet the demand. So now we are talking about energy, annual energy. And what we can see here is that demand is fully satisfied by the increase in production from renewable resources. I would also mention here in dark gray the urge reduction in coal generation. Then for the green development scenario, actually nearly half of the consumption is forecast to be covered by renewable generation. Then it was almost 1/4 in 2018. So here you have illustration of this coverage of RES is around very close to 50%. And the share of wind could really be not far from 20% and 15% for solar generation when it was around 3% in 2018. The next slide is present the distribution of annual electricity generation by country and by fuel in 2030 in the green. This is in the green development scenarios. So you have here all the Mediterranean countries and generation technology or fuel. And in addition, the brown line here is the share of renewable in the whole generation, national generation. So the development of RES is expected in all the Mediterranean countries, some of them planning a strong increase. And to share with you some example from the Western Mediterranean region, I can mention here, for example, Spain. Spain, which demand is around 300 terawatt-hour by year. The share of RES is expected to reach 80% by 2030 from 40% in 2018, pushed both by wind and by solar generation. Portugal as well, where renewable could represent 95% of the generation in 2030. As a consequence, not only CO2 emission of the power sector are strongly reduced in those two countries, but they are also expected to become massive exporters, I mean around 20-30 terawatt-hour per year, to the rest of Europe, so to the north of those two countries, and to the Maghreb countries. To continue to illustrate with countries from the West Mediterranean, Med-TSO scenarios foresee the share of RES will excess 50% in 2030 in some countries. I can mention here Italy, very close to 60%, or Morocco here, more than 50%.
In just 10 years, I mean, it's quite very, very ambitious and challenging, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
I mean, there are still 5 minutes
yes.
for you. There are no questions for the time being, so I will ask you to.
Yeah. I have one last slide, and we can pass to the question. This one is just to illustrate from another way consequence of this change in the power mix in terms of CO2, and actually to say to not a move toward a more carbon-free power system. And that it is illustrated in this table. Then 2030 horizon shows a reduction in CO2 emitted from the electricity generation, despite a significant increase in the electricity demand. So this reduction is around 20% compared to 2018. That represents a decrease around 100 million tons of CO2 emitted in one year. And the second indicators in this table is about the CO2 content of electricity, units being in gram of CO2 per kilowatt hour, where from 300 in 2018, we foresee a decrease below 200 in 12 years. That is also very spectacular. So that's it for my presentation, Simone.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I have so many questions.
Please.
But I am impressed that there are no questions in the tool Q&A. So I will start posing a question, but then I will ask to some of the attendees to just ask a question to confirm that the tool is working. Yeah, we have a first question coming. So thank you very much, Mrs. Nagla from ETC. Mrs. Nagla is asking, is there a storage system in Spain and Portugal to deal with such a large-scale renewables penetration? It's one of the questions that I was curious to ask.
Yes. Yeah, I confirm absolutely. Yes, I'm sorry to not have exactly the figure in mind now, but yes, I confirm that there is a significant development of storage in Spain and Portugal, based on existing storage facilities, hydro pumping storage, with additional development, but also battery storage. And in general, I can mention that storage in many countries is part of renewable development strategy. So that is absolutely for those two countries, but we can also mention other countries like Morocco, that is developing hydro pumping storage in this case as a full part of renewable development strategy. I can also mention so Egypt, because there is a project in Egypt for hydro pumping storage. I can also mention Tunisia with a project in the north of Tunisia, and Turkey. Those for the non-European countries, I can mention storage in hydro pumping storage technology.
But we can certainly imagine that to cope with such penetration, I mean, storage will require I mean, very different kind of pump storage, as you said, but there are also many other many research on other long duration storage that probably will be considered.
And I can also add some very interesting points that in this scenario, Morocco is developing hydro pumping storage. So storage technology for managing renewable variability in his country. But what is very interesting is that when we implement new project between Spain or Portugal to Morocco, it is very interesting to see that the uses of Morocco storage capacity is increased. That I mean that new interconnection help to mutualize benefit of storage facilities across borders.
Well, that's indeed very bring to the next presentation. But I will want to ask one last question. But of course, as you said, I mean, the interconnection and the efficient use of interconnection is definitely one of the tools to
but the opposite is also possible. We could imagine also that interconnection and storage facilities are in competition. But you see, one is reducing the benefit of the others. In this case, no, it is additional benefit. That is very interesting.
I see. So there are no other questions for the time being. I have one last for you with regards to, well, I have many, but I have to pick one. With regards to merit order, coal and gas, can you say something? I mean, in all the three scenario, which is the merit order between coal?
Yes, I can give some word, because the merit order between gas, coal, lignite depend on two factors: the fuel price and CO2 price. And in this edition of master plan, and it is something that we share in common with NSOET and DP, I would say that to produce with gas or with coal more or less is equivalent. I mean that the most different we can see is in one single fuel between old plants and new plants, because you know, between an old CCGT and the most recent CCGT, difference in efficiency is very important. And then there is in the merit order, there is a significant difference between old plant and new plant in one fuel, in one given fuel. And then more or less we can see that all the gas plants are similar in terms of merit order with old coal plant, and most recent gas CCGT plant are equivalent also with the most recent coal plant. So I would say that the competition is more in terms of plant generation more than between two different fuels.
I see.
And finally, that is also good to have to imagine, you know, the debate gas before coal, coal before gas. In this case, we don't have this question. We can more or less it is at the same level, and competition is more between generation.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I mean, with your presentation, I would be already curious to ask what are the new drivers that you see for the new scenarios, but for a matter of time, we will have to postpone this discussion, this very interesting discussion.
With pleasure.
I would like to thank you once again. And since, as you said, the interconnection will play a very important role to integrate all this development, renewable development, I would like to give the floor to Modesto Gabriele Francescato from Terna, the Italian transmission system operator. Modesto is the chairman of the technical committee planning. And so, Modesto, if you can share your presentation, I would give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Simona, and to the other participants. Today, I'm going to show you a short presentation that will try to analyze the process that we have carried out in order to deliver the Mediterranean Master Plan 2020. Today, I will show you a quick overview of the policy behind the study. Now we know that at the European level, but even at the international level, we are living in a very important period. We are in the middle of energy transition. We, has already discussed previously from Emmanuel, we are moving from a very deterministic scenario. In the past years, we had a lot of thermal power generation, but in the future, we will have more renewables to be integrated. We will have different perspective from the generation side, moving from bigger unit to smallest generation unit, but also from the final user side, we will have different perspective. So the energy transition will require new actions, not only from the software parts in terms of market rules and regulatory framework, but also, and in particular, I will show you the hardware part. So all the operators need to move together in order to deploy the new pillars in terms of renewables, market integration, and security of supply. In the new Green Deal, the new European Commission has laid down 1 trillion of investment, and we know that investments are required in order to connect the new renewables, but also to evacuate, to dispatch in a more efficient way the energy. So in order to introduce the plan, I would like to spend 1 minute in the process behind. So we moved from the definition of Mediterranean scenarios. We agreed with the TSOs on a list of projects to be investigated. We have created reference models for power system, not only in terms of market model, but also in terms of network model. So market means zonal approach. Network simulation means the market simulation requires a zonal approach, so bidding zone, without the complete topology of the grid, while network simulation requires the complete topology of the grid. Require, in particular, different situations where to investigate the load flow and the requirements in terms of new reinforcements. For each of the projects, we have carried out a cost-benefit analysis. And the cost-benefit analysis requires methodology. We have used the same methodology as in ENTSO-E. So in particular, the objective of the cost-benefit analysis is to provide a common and a uniform basis for the assessment of the projects in terms of socio-economic welfare, losses, security of supply, but also in terms of residual impacts, in terms of environmental, social, and other kind of impacts. So in terms of analysis, we moved from market simulations, where we have the hourly values of energy flows, to a selection of distribution of point in time among different scenarios, where to test in particular the behavior of the system. So while in the market simulation we use an equivalent set of data regarding the grid, but we evaluate a very complete situation of different hours. In the network simulation, in the network studies, we analyze, we investigate specific hours where to analyze the congestions, the voltage profile, in order to evaluate possible congestions. So we have extrapolated the point-in times from the market simulation with a specific methodology that compare possible correlations among the variables and the duration curve for exchanges. So we have for a specific project a portfolio of point-in times where to analyze and to propose possible reinforcements. So the planning exercise that we have carried out is the same methodology that typically the TSOs perform in order to develop the network plan. So just an example, we perform a static simulation, so in n and n-1 conditions in order to evaluate if the outage of specific line could jeopardize the security of the grid. So this is a typical example of the kind of evaluation that we have carried out in the analysis. So the different clusters that we have analyzed will drive different benefits in terms of market, dispatch, adequacy, and security supplied, and the operation. So in the following presentations of my colleagues, the colleagues will show particular set of benefits with the taxonomy that I have tried to depict in this slide. So the last two slides that I'm going to show you is just a focus on the figures. So the relevant figures that I want to show you is the consistency of the package of plan. So more than 20 gigawatt of capacity, of interconnection capacity, driven by the 15 projects that the plan has analyzed, with more of 4,000 kilometers of HVDC. The HVDC is a very important technology that the TSOs will adopt in order to realize interconnections. The overall interconnection length is around 5,700 kilometers. So this is the complete package with around 13 billion of investment costs. So this is a very, very complete package of investments that are not driven from only the interconnection. In these investments, we have put also the reinforcement, the internal reinforcement that could support the interconnection, the specific interconnection. So this is my last slide. So thank you for the host thank you, Simone, for hosting the
Modesto, thank you to you. I have one question for you. Well, many questions in one. From Zed asking, well, saying, well, we know that integration of renewable will require new transmission infrastructure. How you see the role of Mediterranean energy corridors to improve this integration? What are the measures needed to promote this new transmission infrastructure? A very, very, very relevant question. Thank you very much. And how you see the future development. So, Modesto, if you can give a quick answer. I don't know if you can see the question.
Yeah, I think that the question is very general, and I will provide to make a very quick answer. The operators now are focusing on the most relevant investments that could help the markets in order to integrate new users, new generation, new renewables. European Commission, for example, is addressing this matter in the new policies of TENI. The new TENI regulation, for example, is introducing a new measure in order to integrate not only internal reinforcement in Europe, but also, for example, interconnection of Europe with third countries. And I think that, for example, Med-TSO could be useful for this, because we can show how the interconnection of Europe with North Africa, but also with Middle East, could be helpful for the entire system. So
think we have a connection problem.
Regulation, the new regulation under revision is introduced, also the reinforcements outside European. So this could be helpful for us.
Thank you. Yeah, I think yeah, the project of mutual benefit is the name used.
Yeah.
The new proposal from European Commission in the new 10E under consultation, or it was under consultation until few weeks ago. Thank you, Modesto. But indeed, I mean, then planning, of course, is the first the starting point, but then there are some measures are required in order to take advantage and to use this interconnection, having a market functioning properly as the assumption was as it was assumed in our assessment, I think. So I will now, after this introduction, long but needed, let's now go into the detail of some projects. So I think the first speaker is directly from Med-TSO Secretariat to present three projects: Morocco Portugal, Morocco Spain, and Algeria, Tunisia, Libya. So project 1, 2, and 5. I invite the speakers, probably Anas, yeah. Please, Anas, the floor is yours.
Before I start, maybe I can add something on answering Ziad's questions. Since he was asking who is promoting the projects, I can say that for now, and from the first and the second Mediterranean projects, the projects are promoted either by stakeholders, by transmission system operators, or by governments. You will find out in our detailed project presentations who are the promoters for every project. Thank you, and as my presentation, I welcome all of you on this webinar. I am Anas Lahreish. I'm from Med-TSO Secretariat, technical officer. I'm Med-TSO technical officer, and I have I'm very glad to be presenting 3 of our 15 projects. 2 of them are integrated within what we call the West Mediterranean Corridor. It contains, it covers the perimeter of 4 countries, Portugal, Spain, but also Morocco and Algeria. And 1 project, which is Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, belonging to the Central Mediterranean Corridor and North Africa backbone. So let's start with the first project, which is Morocco Portugal. It's a new project of 1,000 megawatt of total installed capacity, HVDC bipolar. Let me first give you a short description of the actual situation of this area of the Mediterranean. Portugal is actually fully interconnected to Spain and strongly interconnected to Spain through 6 400 kV lines, 3 200 kV lines. Spain itself is interconnected to France, but also to Morocco through 2 400 kV undersea cables in AC technology of almost 700 megawatts each. Morocco is interconnected to Algeria, through two 400 kV lines from Bourdim to Hasima Amr, but also two 225 kilovolts lines, which are actually out of service in order to avoid the looping effect. This is the actual situation. The interconnection between Portugal and Spain is the NTC, the net transfer capacity, is expected to rise to reach almost 3.5 gigawatt by 2030, and 4.2 gigawatt from Spain to Portugal, which is also, it answers to the importance of interconnections in order to be able to avoid the bad impact of renewables on system flexibility and system and its intermittency. Well, let's move to our project. The project number one, the number and the naming is Morocco Portugal. We gave it a number, which is one, not a ranking, but just to be familiarized with them. This new interconnection is the first one. There is actually no interconnection between the two systems, and it is about 265 kilometers. 220 of them are submarine cable. It will be in VSC technology, two bipolar converters of two converters of 500 megawatt each. It will be linking the substation of Tavira in Portugal to the substation of Bni Harshan in Morocco, and the project is promoted by the governments of both countries, who have jointly launched the elaboration of a feasibility study presently under development. For what concerns the project merits, what is this project expected to give as benefits? For what regards market, it is expected to reduce the high price differentials between the different market nodes. You know, for Portugal, with more than 80% of renewables, the marginal price will be very low, and Morocco is expected to benefit from that. But we'll see that it's not only Morocco, it will be the whole Maghreb area. And for dispatch and adequacy security of supply, of course, this project is expected to positively contribute to the integration of renewables. And in terms of operation, it is expected to increase power system connectivity, introduce additional system restoration mechanism through the VSC substations, and increase the system voltage stability. As a result of market analysis, what we have seen is that the flows for this interconnection will be mainly from Portugal to Morocco. Of course, it's logic, since the marginal price in Portugal is one of the lowest in the region. But also, we have seen a slight decrease in the export from Portugal to Spain, also from Spain to France. For what concerns Maghreb region, Morocco and Algeria, we have seen an increase of the importing of Morocco, but also increase in the export from Morocco to Algeria. So this confirms that Algeria is expected to benefit from this low marginal price. Also, this project will allow a huge reduction in the curtailment in the area, and less gas production for the two southern countries who will benefit from the renewables from the north. For what concerns CBA, we will find in this slide benefits indicators and cost indicators, result of network analysis performed by TC planning. So for what regards benefits, this project is expected to have a high SU, more or less high, because it will be between 170 and 220 million euro per year among the three scenarios. And of course, will, as I said, a huge reduction in res curtailment of between 1.2 and 2 terawatt-hour per year. This project also will allow to avoid a huge amount of CO2 between 1 to 1.5 million ton per year. For what concerns the marginal price, of course, since Portugal will be exporting more, the marginal price in Portugal is expected to increase, but slightly, compared to the huge decrease in Morocco marginal price. But also I can say that it will be the case for Algeria. Algeria is not in this slide, but it will be a huge increase in Morocco and a decrease in Morocco and a slight decrease in Algeria. For the results of network analysis, of course, the interconnection cost, since it is VSC technology, submarine cable, it will be more or less high, 670 million euros. And it will of course, we will need to add two 400 kV lines in Morocco linking Sehul substation to Tetuan, of cost rise reaching 75 million euro of capex. Losses are expected to rise. It's normal. We are forcing flows through the HVDC, so losses are expected to rise of about 20 million euro per year in the three scenarios. This is all for this first project. Let me move to the next one, which is Spain, Morocco.
Yes, Spain, Morocco, Anas. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. For this project, things are a little bit different because actually we do have some two interconnections between the two power systems of 400 kV. The total length is 60 kilometers, I think. 30 of them are submarine cable. It's in AC technology, and the first link was inaugurated in 97. So this third project is a new link, a third link between the two continents, but also between the two countries, of about offering additional 700 megawatts of capacity. The current net transfer capacity is 900 megawatt from Spain to Morocco and 600 from Morocco to Spain. With this link, with this third link, we'll be speaking about 1.5 gigawatt, 1400 megawatt. Well, for what, but also here, let me notice that, of course, still Morocco is interconnected, and it is expected to remain interconnected to Algeria, because we'll see later how Algeria will benefit from this third cable as well. For the new interconnection, it's linking Bni Harshan. It's the same interconnection node with Portugal, but for this time it is to Spain in Puerto de la Cruz in Spain. And there is a possibility to commission this third link before 2030, if I mean we confirm the need of this third cable, because it's not so long and it is in AC technology, so it's feasible. The project is promoted by ONE, which is a Moroccan electricity company, and Red Eléctrica de España, the Spanish TSO. For what is expected as project merits, it is the same as Portugal, Morocco, but only here we can add to that this third interconnection also can help in voltage stability. It can help in adding some additional restoration mechanism and system flexibility and stability, as it is the situation for the other project. For the assessed benefits and the impacts result of market analysis, we have seen that the annual flows significantly increases from Spain to Morocco, contributing to an important reduction of the saturation hour of the existing interconnection between these two countries. There is a lot of energy imported by Morocco from Spain is exported to Algeria, and this is not new. Both Morocco and Algeria will benefit from the lower energy marginal price observed in Spain. For what concerns generation, we have seen that we will be having less curtailment in the north, in Spain, in Portugal, less imports from France, but more nuclear in order to balance the system. Less gas generation in the south, since imports will increase. And we have seen, and it confirmed what Emmanuel said in his presentation, that Morocco will be using more its hydro pumping units in order to take benefits from the low, when the marginal price is low in Spain. Okay, for the benefits, for the CBA indicators, the SEW, the social economic welfare expected from this project is high as well. It's between 90 and 150 million euros per year. Risk curtailment will be reduced significantly, between 400 to 800 gigawatt hour per year. We will be avoiding more and more CO2 emissions thanks to this project. The reduction will be between 0.5 and 1 million ton per year, and marginal price, as expected, will be increased slightly in Spain, but decreased a lot in Morocco and in Algeria. This project presents a cost of 148 million euros based on the length, but on the ancient experience the two countries had. And we will be needing to have the same 400 kV line of a total cost of 75 million euro. Losses are expected to rise between 10 million euro and 20 million euro per year and per scenario. This is the second project. Let me share the slides for the third project, which is one of our Central Mediterranean corridor and North Africa backbone. It was promoted by the 3 TSOs. It is the project linking Algeria to Libya through the Tunisian grid. It will add 750 megawatts for the NTC between Tunisia and Algeria, and 1.25 gigawatt between Tunisia and Libya. What we can say for what regards this system, this electrical, this power system, is that Algeria has been connected to Tunisia since the 1950s. It's very old and it's very mature connection, but we still cannot see. We still can see that it is underexploited also. Despite the two, and for what concerns Tunisia and Algeria, we have 5 interconnection lines actually in almost all the technical voltage levels existing in the two countries. But also there are some old ones, which are the 90 kVs and 150 kV, that they are expected to disappear from here to 2030. So we expect to have one 400 kV link linking Jandouba in Tunis to Al-Hajjar in Algeria, to Shefia in Algeria, and linking El Awinet in Algeria to Tejerouine in Tunisia in 225 kilovolts. For what concerns Tunisia and Libya, we all know, and you may know that there are already 3 interconnection lines, 1 double circuit line and 1 simple circuit line. The problem of this interconnection is that Tunisia and Libya have never succeeded. The 2 tests that performed years ago in order to synchronize the system, and the Libyan network have never been synchronized with Maghreb system, and therefore neither with the continental Europe. There is another frequency in Libya, not the same we find in Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, but Spain and all continental Europe. For what concerns the new project, the new proposed project, it's a new 400 kV line linking Fkirina in Algeria to Kondar in Tunisia. It's a new node created in Tunisia with a 1,000 megawatt capacity of a total length around 250, most of them in Tunisia. And between Tunisia and Libya, there will be a double circuit line, 400 kV volt AC, linking Bouchamma in the south of Tunisia to Sorman in Libya, offering a total installed capacity of 2,000 megawatt, additional 2,000 megawatt, and total length of about 300 kilometers, most of them in Tunisia as well. The 2 projects are promoted. The project is promoted by the 3 countries, the 3 TSOs. The expected merits from this project for what regards market to reduce the high price differential between different market nodes and countries. And here we may mention that in Libya, we have one of the highest marginal costs in the Mediterranean. So it's logic that all the flows will be going to Libya. This project is expected also to positively contribute to the integration of renewable in this Maghrebian system, contribute to solving issues related to the adequacy and security of supply that may be faced. And for what concerns operation, of course, this project will increase power system connectivity, introduce additional system restoration mechanism, improve system flexibility and stability, increase system voltage stability, and contribute to the flexibility of power system through the control of power flows. What I want to notice here and what I want to mention here is that we are being ambitious in order to foresee this new cluster. There have been several attempts to synchronize the overall system, and we hope that the studies will confirm, and the detailed studies can confirm later, that a 400 kV interconnection line between Tunisia and Libya will solve this issue of synchronization. For what concerns results of market study and assess the impact, we have seen that flows are mostly from Algeria to Tunisia and from Tunisia to Libya. It's normal. A decrease in Algeria exports to Morocco, and increase, of course, of Algeria exports to Tunisia. We have seen also an increase in the exports from Sicily to Tunisia, since the project Tunisia-Italy is considered also in the base case, so it is already existent in this situation. We have seen a decrease in the exports from Egypt to Libya. Algeria and Tunisia are becoming net exporters in the 3 simulated scenarios, and Tunisia is playing a role of transit system, importing from Algeria and Italy, exporting to Libya. We have seen a reduction in the gas generation in Libya, and compared to an increase in the gas generation in both Algeria and Tunisia, and an increase in the gas generation in Sicily as well, in Italy. For the CBA indicators, for what is benefits from this new cluster to be added, we have seen a good or a high SU variation. It will be between 150 and 190 million euro per year. There is no, in the base case, since there is no risk curtailment in the area, we still have not this huge amount of integration and the integration rate of renewable. This project is not expected, of course, to reduce any risk curtailment. But for what concerns CO2 variation, this project will allow to avoid between 1 and 1.3 million ton per year. Marginal price, of course, they will increase in both Tunisia and Algeria, slightly in Algeria, and more or less important increase in Tunisia, compared to an important decrease in the Libyan marginal price. And this among the three scenarios. For what concerns network studies and the costs, we have estimated the cost of these new interconnections to be added to 203 million euros. We have found that we will be needing an internal reinforcement in Tunisia, which cost is about 32 million euro, and an internal reinforcement in Algeria, the cost is about 20 million euro, and losses are expected to rise between 40 and 60 million euro per year among the three scenarios. I will be available to answer any question you have in the Q&A session later, but let me go back to Simon. Simon, back to you.
Anas, thank you for your effort for presenting this very interesting project, and for the effort to condensate so many information and so many hours of works in studying in just 15 minutes. I mean, thinking at the benefit of interconnection, of synchronous interconnection, during your presentation, it was coming to my mind also the recent accident occurring in Europe with the splitting into the separate area that was solved, as you, I guess all you know, thanks to an answer, a coordinated answer of the system operation of all Europe using interruptible contract in France, in Italy, and so on. So, I mean, imaging of all this synchronous interconnected via Spain, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, it's really, I mean, I think that the benefit, but I know that is very tricky and difficult to estimate, but I mean, the recent accident, I think, prove the importance of to have a synchronous interconnected systems to react and to integrate renewables. There is one question from Mrs. Nagla from ETC. Are interconnection between Morocco and Spain and Portugal is planned to go through a bilateral agreement for exchange, since there is no market in Morocco? The marginal price will be fixed. So yeah, with regards to that,
I know that Moroccan colleagues know better than me, but what I can say is that for now, and since it is an old interconnection now, so it was the first cable was back to the 90s. What I can tell is that Morocco is already an operator of the market in Spain, and they can bid with a price actually. And I think that Algeria as well through this interconnection. So if there will be no market, and we hope that we will succeed to make the market and to integrate the market in the Maghreb zone, but even if there will be no market, still Morocco and Algeria have the possibility to bid on the Spain market for electricity. Just Simon, I wanted also to highlight something very important for those who feel interest to have more details. The Secretariat, Med-TSO Secretariat, have published some project sheets in which you can find all details about results. Luca
will present later. But if I just add on your feedbacks to Mrs. Nagla, I mean, as Emmanuel, to remind everybody, as Emmanuel present in his presentation, that so the assessment consider an efficient, I mean, is a fundamental market modeling, and is considering an efficient day-ahead markets implemented.
Markets or mechanism. I mean that what we can see from the market studies we perform is that it is important that any mechanism will be performing enough to capture volatility. I mean that idea is not to export 24 hours by day permanently. That is not the case. Because of development of renewable, we expect more volatility in price, and benefit of those interconnection is to capture difference of price. And of course, the market is perfectly designed for that, but we can also imagine different mechanisms to benefit from the difference of prices that can be different from 1 hour to the next hour. And in our studies, we have some interconnection where just the direction of the flow is changing 4 times in a day. So yes. Ability of those mechanisms to get those difference of price, I mean economic opportunity, is important.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for your very useful clarification. So and then thanks again. I will now give the floor to Mr. Mohamed Lakhdar Habib from Sonelgaz, Algeria. Is a very active member of TC planning, and not only in TC planning in Med-TSO. Habib, the floor is yours to present Project 3 Algeria-Spain and Project 15 Algeria-Italy. Thank you.
Thank you, Simona. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you and to meet you in this very important event. So 1 minute in order to share my screen. So following the presentation made by Anas, so I will continue in the western side of the Mediterranean with presenting the 2 projects that involved Algeria, which are Algeria-Spain and Algeria-Italy. So for the first project, it's really a new project, so which will increase the global transfer capacity between both countries with 1,000 megawatts. So here, in the first slide, we can see a whole picture about the network in this region. So the analysis or the study will take into account network study the full grid for Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Algeria, and take as a boundary condition France and Tunisia. As presented by my colleague Anas, so Spain, Portugal are strongly connected with 2 levels of voltage. Also Spain, France with several interconnection. Also Spain, Morocco with 2 submarine cable which perform the synchronization between NSOA network and the Maghrebian network. And finally, Algeria in the Maghreb region in south-south interconnection. So we have 4 interconnection with Morocco, 2 into 400 kV and 2 in 220 kV. Algeria, Tunisia, as presented by Anas, are also interconnected with 5 lines. But only 2 will be expected in 2030, which is 400 kV interconnection and 220 kV. So all 90 kV transmission line will be decommissioned at this origin. So for our project, the project will interconnect both system, Algerian and Spain system. So just I need to remind that this project was studied at the first time in 2003 in bilateral context between both countries, and now it is also studied in the framework of Med-TSO association in a regional overview and approach. So here we will take into consideration also the impact in neighboring country. So the project consists to realize a submarine cable with 240 kilometers with relative high depth, sea depth with 2,000 meters. And in both sides, we need some AC overhead line in order to connect the substation to the national grid. So mainly in Algeria, we need 100 kilometers of overhead line. In terms of impact of this project, so we can start with the same way. So the expected merit for this project. So in terms of market, we expect to reduce high price differential between both system or both region. And in terms of adequacy and security, so this project will give us a positive contribution to integration of RES and to solving some issue about security of supply. So for the operation issue, so we have we expect to have according to the technology of this project of HVDC project, VSC or LCC, maybe we will have some advantages in terms of operation and increased system voltage stability. So regarding the impact of market studies, we can see strongly here some reduction of gas generation in Algeria. So there are some profitability and complementarity of primary resources. So for the nuclear, for example, in France and the rest in Portugal and Spain, there are some increase of those generation. In terms of flow, so the main flow will have from Spain to Algeria. So we will have a positive impact in Algeria balance regarding this project. So for the other neighboring country, Morocco and Tunisia, it depends to the three scenarios studied. So we have, according to each scenario, slightly impact in the system of those countries. So in terms of CBA indicator, so for this project, for the three scenario, we will have a very positive impact in social economic welfare, and also a very interesting impact in risk avoiding risk curtailment, also in CO2 emission. For the cost for this project, so the HVDC link and the two substation will cost around 680 million euro, with some internal reinforcement in both systems. So for Algeria side, we will have around 30 million euro, and in Spain side, we will have 10 million euro. In terms of losses, so it depends on the three scenarios. So the variation is between 40 million euro to 60 million euro. So that's all for this project. So I will switch to the other project. So the second project, number 15, which involved Algeria and Italy, it consists on it's a part of the central corridor. So also in this project, we study a full network for Italy, Algeria, and Tunisia, and the other system was considered as a boundary condition. So here we need to highlight that the connection with Italy is not with with Italy continental, but with the Sardinia system, the island. So the project will have a length about 350 kilometers submarine cable with sea depth higher than 2,000 meters. Also, in order to connect the HVDC system to the national grid, we need two 400 overhead line in IC system with a total length 100 kilometers. So in terms of merit of this project, for the market, of course, the first impact is to reduce the high price between different market zones. And in terms of adequacy or security of supply, so the project will contribute to the integration of RES in order to avoid the risk curtailment. And in terms of operation, it depends to the technology of this submarine cable, which is VSC or LCC, in order to add some added value in terms of operation of system. So the impact of this project, it depends strongly in the three scenario studied. So we can see, for example, for a national development scenario, we have some decrease in gas generation and increasing in gas generation in Italy with reduction in risk curtailment. While in green development scenario, so we see the reverse impact. So it depends in the three scenarios. In terms of social economic welfare, also we can see regarding the three scenarios that there are a positive impacts in some scenario. Also for risk curtailment. In terms of the CO2 variation, so we can see strongly in scenario 2 and 3 there are negative impact and positive impact. So for the cost of this project is highly expensive. So we can see that this submarine cable with both AC/DC substation, we will reach. It depends on the technology around 850 million euro, with some internal reinforcement in Algeria side, which needs to be around 20 million euro. For the losses, so the range of reducing losses, it's between 20 million euro and 40 million euro. So that's all for those both projects. Thank you for attention, and I'm available for answer to any question.
Habib, thank you very much also to you to present these two very interesting projects connecting the two shores of the Mediterranean Sea. I don't see any questions for the time being. Then I will also, for matter of time, I will give the floor to Amal Moalla from STEG, Tunisian Transmission System Operator, to present the project for Tunisia, Italy.
Thank you, Simone. I will share my screen. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to see you in this interesting event. My name is Amal Moalla from Tunisia. I'm working as planner engineer in the Tunisian Company of Electricity and Gas. And I'm a member in ESS group since 2018. Today, I will present the project for Tunisia-Italy interconnection. So let's take an overview of this project. As we know, all the Tunisia-Italy interconnection is a very important project, as it will be the first link between the electric system of these two countries and between the north and the south bank of the Mediterranean in the Central Corridor, and it is estimated to be commissioned by 2027. This project is supported by the Italian and Tunisian government to increase the interconnection capacity of the Euro-Mediterranean system, and it's intensely promoted by TERNA and STEG with the full support of European Commission, which include this interconnection in the fourth list of project of common interest with the label 3.27. It is also included in the Italian and Tunisian National Development Plan and in the 10-year Network Development Plan 2018 and 2020 of NTSO. The potentials of this interconnection are considered deeply strategic for both countries, and in terms of raise power flows optimization and grid operation to guarantee security and adequacy standards. And specifically, the realization of this project will ensure the exchange capability between the two zones. Let's move to the technical project description. The expected NTC between Italy, more precisely Sicily, and Tunisia will be 600 megawatts. And this project contains a new submarine cable of 400 kilovolts, high voltage direct current, HVDC, between Partana and Sicily and Larba and Manzatini. With a total length of around 200 kilometers and 2 converter station ECDC in each site. This project, as we know, is analyzed with the TOOT methodology in the Master Plan 2020. That means that it's the only project that is considered in the reference grid for the base case of Med-TSO studies. And it's also included in the base case of the analysis of the other projects. Regarding the major merits from of this project, we can say that this project can reduce high price differential between different market nodes and countries for the market side, and it's expected positively contributes to the integration of renewable and contributes to solving issues related to adequacy and security of supply. For the operation side, this project can fully or partially contribute to resolving the isolation of countries in terms of power system connectivity or to meeting specific interconnection targets and increase system voltage stability. For what concerns the impact assessment from the market study, we can highlight that the Tunisia-Italy project drives annual decrease in gas generation, mostly in Tunisia, but we can also observe decrease in gas generation in Algeria and Libya. This decrease is compensated by an increase in gas generation and a decrease in risk curtailment in Italy, more precisely in Sicily. We can also conclude from the market study results that the flow are mostly from Italy to Tunisia, with an expected significant number of hours of saturation of the flow in this direction. Overall, by including this project, Tunisia become a net importer in the national development and Mediterranean evolution scenarios. And we can say also that there is an increase in the export from Tunisia to Libya, and either for Algeria, there is either decreasing in exports or increasing in imports. It depends on the scenarios. It depends on the scenario. Yeah. Let's move now to CBA analysis. For the benefits for the CBA benefits, we can see that the project 4 yields a positive impact in the social economic welfare and the risk curtailment. As we see in the figure, there is a positive impact for the SUV. The SUV varies from 50 million euro to 80 million euro. It depends on the scenario and the Monte Carlo years. And for the rescue payments, it varies from 280 to 480 gigawatt hour per year. For CO2 emission, the greater expected benefit is noticed in the green development scenario. And in what concerns the marginal price, we can see that the marginal price in Tunisia is decreasing, and for Sicily is decreasing. So for the cost, for the network study analysis, 8 points in time have been simulated, and the N-1 static analysis applied to transmission level identified that there is no internal reinforcement for the Italian side, while in the Tunisian side we need 400 kilovolt overhead line between Mornegia and Mlaba, and between Gromberia and Mlaba as reinforcement, and those two lines will cost 50 million euro, and the interconnection cost will be between 550 and 610 million euros, depending on the converter station technology, LCC or VSC, and depending on the voltage level, 400 or 500 kilovolts. And to conclude, the losses are expected to raise by 10 million euro per year for the three scenarios. Thank you for your attention, and I'm available for your question.
Thank you very much, Amal. Let me see if we have any questions. I mean, looking forward to 2027 to see this interconnection. So wait a second, so that we have one question. Can you see Amal? No, but probably it's for Habib, the previous questions. The justification of interconnection between the two systems, so Algeria and Spain. So it's for Habib.
Yes, yes, Simone.
You see the questions?
Yes, yes, I see well the question, yes.
Please,
yes.
Habib.
Yes, I see the question is asked by Mr. Twillet, so which now really as well all the work of the association in the previous way. So yes, the Med-TSO study will give a general overview and a general assumption in terms of complementarity between system in a regional approach. But after that, yes, I fully agree. In order to promote or to study in deep all projects, we can do or perform some other bilateral studies in order to raise other or to take other assumptions or hypotheses more in detail.
Yes, maybe I can also notice that this is more a remark than a question from Mr. Twileb, who we all know him. He has been in Med-TSO for several years, and it's a very remarkable remark from him, saying that Med-TSO studies will not only highlight a detailed description of either these interconnections are well to be built or not. We should, after this general studies performed in Med-TSO, we should attack or tackle the bilateral studies between the two concerned TSOs. Thank you, Mr. Twileb, for this remark.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Tulib, for the questions, and Habib and Anas for answering. I would like now, I mean, I don't know if there are, let me check, other questions.
Yes, there is another question from Ms. Nagla, asking Amal whether the feasibility study for the project is initiated or not, Tunisia, Italy.
Yes, Ms. Nagla, the feasibility study of this project is initiated, and we are now in the network. We started the network study for Steg and Terna, and we have marine feasibility study and submarine and terrestrial feasibility study for this project. So we are advanced in this project, and we hope that it will be commissioned in time.
Thank you, Amal, and thank you, Mrs. Nagla, for the questions. A question to Habib from Zed. So the proposed submarine cable depth for the connection Algeria-Spain is around 2,000 meters, knowing that the max capable water depth use is, I think, currently 1,650 meters. Habib, can you elaborate on this issue, on this aspect about the sea depth?
Yes, thank you, Simona, and thank you for the attendance of the event for this question. Yes, the record now is the satellite project, which is around 1,600 meters. Both the project involving Algeria, yes, we have a very high depth. It's a big challenge in terms of the feasibility of those projects. But I think now there are some other new technology in order to realize this project. The matter is about cost. So we will have some additional cost in order to elaborate or to realize those interconnection. And the feasibility or pre-feasibility study will show if we agree to go through those projects, we will study it in this. But I know now there are some technology which can realize this project.
Thank you very much, Habib. I would also like to thank, all the participants, if they can, stay connected. We have 10 minutes of delay, but I didn't want to give less time for the presentation of the project. So I hope that you can all stay connected for the final, for the closing of the webinars. I will now give the floor to Luca Ruffino from the Med-TSO Secretariat to present the digital master plan version, very useful to navigate all the projects and details. Please, Luca.
Thank you very much. Yes, in this difficult time, but also because time are evolving, we went digital. We are in the introduction page, in the home page of the Mediterranean Master Plan 2020. This digital report is composed by 5 sections, and I want briefly to give you the opportunity to see that, for example, the main report, the Mediterranean Master Plan report, can be downloaded by this platform. You can download the full report, but also have a view of what we have wrote in 2018 with the previous edition of the Mediterranean Master Plan. But the very interesting part and the digital part of this report is the possibility for you to navigate into the projects. I would like to give you an example, such as the project number 4, Italy-Tunisia. After a brief introduction where you can find the main data of this interconnection, you can find also some indicators, such as the indicators used in the CBA analysis. But more important, you can find this interactive map where you can see the impact of the project on the Mediterranean power systems. So by zooming on this project, you can have an overview of the impact of this project on the Mediterranean power system, also navigating into the 3 scenarios we used for the analysis of Mediterranean master. Of course, you can have also a view on the paper edition and on the paper project sheet of this project by downloading it. You can download the PDF with all the information of this project, and you can have also data such as the generation and other market data that are the output of the existence of this interconnection. Talking about the specificity of this interconnection of Italy-Tunisia, this interconnection is one of the few that are considered in the reference scenario of Med-TSO. So you will find this interconnection in all the system configuration used in the market and network study. Afterward, you can have a look on the scenario report. Also here, you can have the possibility to download the full report, PDF report with all the information and all the analysis of the made by our technical committee, economic studies and scenarios, but more important, you can have a look to the data, and this is the real innovation of this platform. We give you the full package of data used in our scenario simulations that we have divided into 2 parts. One dedicated to the scenario simulation results, and one dedicated to the data scenario visualization. Let's have a look to the first part. Emmanuel, my colleague Emmanuel Bouet, before explained that Med-TSO in this year used a very flexible tool called Antares. This market tool for developing scenarios is now integrated with another tool that we have developed in-house, which is called Antares Viz, that permit to the association to have dynamic maps of the scenario modeling results. So in this part, maybe okay. In this part, you can navigate through the 3 scenarios of the used in our scenario report, and have an overview of the reference-based scenarios, the reference case scenarios. There is also a recall of the scenario description here on the right of the screen, and you can navigate to have an overview of the impact of our projects into the Mediterranean power system, into the market of the Med-TSO countries. You can have also a look by clicking on an interconnection on some specific parameter of the interconnection, such as the capacity of the interconnection, but then you can find all the information how to profit and navigate into this map by clicking on this link that will give you not only the table of measure units, but also a README of this application, of this tool. Talking about the second tool we have developed, we give to all the experts the full data set used in our scenario report, for building our scenario report, and we build through an application called Tableau a visualization of this data. Also, in this case, you can navigate among the 3 scenarios and have also a comparison with the statistical data set date 2018 that serve us as base layer of our analysis. You can navigate through the three scenarios. You can see, for example, here I didn't select any of the country of the Med-TSO perimeter, actually of the Mediterranean perimeter, because in this selection we consider all the countries of the Mediterranean perimeter, also the one that still have not entered in Med-TSO, such as, for example, Syria or Lebanon. And you can have also a view on the specific country data. For example, if I click on Italy, I can show you how we imagine generation park of Italy in 2030, for example. Or more, it is interesting, you can have one analysis made by corridor. So, for example, you can select the western region of the Mediterranean, configuration of the western region of the Mediterranean. Now, for example, with this Lazio, and we can have a configuration of the generation part of the western region of the Mediterranean. Also, this part is composed by five sections, one for each data of interest. The second one is dedicated to the analysis of generation. So you will have data in gigawatt hour for the full Mediterranean perimeter, and also in this case you can select the country of your interest. And it is very, very user-friendly, and I think you can enjoy it. The same approach it is made for the analysis of demand. Here you can find the data that you will find in the paper report. So you can navigate the data. Also in this case, you can select the countries. And I will present briefly the two other sections, one dedicated to the analysis of CO2 emissions, and one dedicated, also in this case, you can select the data of a specific country or see a complete overview of the full Mediterranean region. And the last tab is dedicated to the marginal price. In this case, you can have also an overview on the countries where there are a sub-splitting of the market into region, such as Italy, for example, with a bidding zone of Italy, or also France with the difference of continental France with Corsica, or Greece as well. And I want to finish this presentation by telling you that you can also download the data by clicking on this icon here at the bottom of the graph. And that's it from my side.
Thank you, Luca, for this interactive closing section to present the nice digital tools that could be used to navigate all the different results. I think it would be very interesting, in particular, to also understand the details behind the results of the simulation, the use of interconnection during the different hours. Very, very interesting. Let me see if there are questions, but I don't think so with regards to this presentation. So we are once again apologize for the little delay. I will give the floor to Modesto Gabrieli to conclude, to conclude the session.
Yeah.
From my side, I would like to thank you very much, everybody. But Modesto, the floor is yours for the conclusion.
Yeah, Simone, thank you. But I think that the time is over. So just to remind, a big thanks to the Secretariat of Med-TSO for the big support in helping the TSOs to run the simulation and to build the data management, and it is a very, very important role of the Secretariat that sometimes is not so easy to show, and but I would like to emphasize the big help from the Secretariat. And I also would like to thank all the members of the TSOs that have shown the presentation today, and finally also thank all the participants for attending the meeting. And I think that I have to leave the floor to Angelo for the final.
No. We close here.
Okay.
The webinar. So once again, thank you for connecting. Don't hesitate to contact the Med-TSO Secretariat in case you have any questions. And well, let's continue to work together to make this interconnection possible, and to take advantage of this interconnection. And yeah, thank you. And I just remind to everyone that tomorrow there will be a second edition focusing of this webinar starting at 9 a.m. Central European Time, focusing on the presentation of the project in the Eastern region. So yeah, that's all for today. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.